So I would love to introduce to you Houdini, who is my absolute star client, has had the most incredible healing journey. And we have been working together for, I think it's 5 sessions now, isn't it,
Mm,
Houdini? And I just want to introduce this amazing person to everyone because he has such an incredible story to tell and a very inspiring story. And so I'm over to you, Houdini. I want to ask a few questions of you. So, and the first one being like, what is your story of how, what led you to being in the position of actually, having to come for sessions? What was happening for you?
yeah,
What had occurred in your life to bring you to that place, or just whatever you feel to share, so that we have a
yeah.
sense of how you've been feeling up until recently.
Mm. So yeah, thank you for that lovely introduction. And it's so interesting, Fiona, because I know that in our last session, you were saying, it's been 2 months, a bit less than 2 months, and I was thinking, can't be, it can't have only been 2 months. And then I looked back at the questionnaire you sent me and the one when I filled it back, and it was actually, I think it was yesterday, the 7th of June, right? So then April 7th was the day I filled it out and sent it to you. So that is
Wow.
2 months.
Wow.
And then just hearing you say 5 sessions just blows my mind because it just feels like, not in a bad way, in a good way, it feels like so much more. Like
Mm.
we've had more contact and more, this has taken a longer process, and obviously so much has happened in a short amount of time. So basically my story is like, I came to you because I was seriously ill. I was in a really bad way. I was bedridden. um, a good day at that point was when I had a moment where I could um, go to the loo and um, by myself, right? Didn't feel like I needed help and didn't feel like I was dragging as badly as I usually am just to go to the loo at that point. Um, it was a really dark, um, for lack of a better term, place I was in. I was having so many like regular every day I was having body aches. I felt like my bones were in pain. I
Mm.
felt like almost like either the blood or the white blood cells, some kind of liquid in my body was like almost on fire. Is like just this pain, this sort of like hormonal. I think it was the hormones. There was like just out of whack, imbalance. I could feel them. It was just this piercing, terrible pain. I would cry all the time just from pain.
Mm.
Curling up in the bed. And then I was sensitive. I'm already a sensitive person, but I was like hyper extra sensitive to things like the light, the sunlight, sounds. I was extra sensitive to, and it was just all my senses were out of whack and on high sensitivity like I've never experienced it before in my life. And yeah, so then I wasn't able to do these things that I love to do, like I'm very like woo woo guy. I'm into like astrology, numerology, human design, these kind of things. I wasn't able to do that hardly at that
Mm.
point. I love studying online courses. I couldn't do that at that point. Everything went to a standstill. So in between pain moments, I would try to do these things, and then of course my partner was like helping me at this point. So it's like she's caring for someone who can't do anything basically for himself. So on top of the things she's doing to bring in income for us and just regular things you do as a person, then she's also taking care of me and cooking all the food, cleaning, doing just doing all these things because I'm not able to help. And so it got so bad, and a friend of hers knows you, and I've been mentioning this to people looking for support, like how can I find support, and maybe someone can direct me to someone to help me. And you know he said, oh, I have a friend who basically he was saying, well, I have this friend and she sounds like she had what you have, and she was able to heal herself and she helps people with this. Would you want her information? And I was like, yes, you know, it was an instant message, you know. And he said, yeah, okay, I'll give you her information. And then that's when we started chatting, and the
Mm.
rest is history, you know.
Mm.
2 months later, here we are, and I've, you know, well, maybe that's not the part of the question, but yeah, so it's that.
Yeah,
That's why I reached out to you, because I was really, it's so, you know, almost desperate, basically. Like it was
yeah.
just so bad. I didn't know what to do, but I knew that, you know, I heard of someone else that had also helped themselves heal, but they weren't helping people heal.
Mm.
So I asked my friend, you know, can you help us, you know,
Mm.
connect? And she said, oh, I'll see if she's willing to talk. And I never heard anything else, so I left it alone. And then I heard this other lady, and I don't even remember from whom, but when your friend said, you know, that he could connect us, I was like, oh, great, he's on it. He's gonna do it, and here we are.
Here we
So
are.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I would, you know, and it's so incredible 2 months later, you know, where you are now. And I'd love
yeah,
for you to share a little
sure,
of what the journey has been for you and
definitely.
where you are now and just what, you know, what's happening
Mhm.
for you and how it's been. And
Yeah,
yeah, just
yeah, sure.
love to hear.
So yeah, so it's interesting because also I thought of how like there's been a progression um in our calls, like so you know, I remember when one of our sessions was the first time I was like in the light, and you noticed that and you said, oh, I can see you. And I was like, yeah, you know, because it wasn't like so dark or whatever. Because I, you know, would stay in the dark and stuff, but I was getting better. But the progression, I mean, has been amazing because, um, oh, for example, like today, I could even say, and then go backwards. So like today, I went out on a bike that Martine had gotten for both of us, is like these matching bikes, God, months ago. And it was when we were in Plymouth, staying over there before we came to Ashburton. And when I took one ride on her bike, then, and we went down the hill, I stopped and I said, "Ooh, I can't do this anymore, babe." And then she got on the bike. I went back home, and then she kept going. And this was before I got really, really bad, but that was one of those signs of things that something was wrong. But so today was my first day riding this bike. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah,
Woohoo.
it's amazing. So you know, because I'd ridden her bike several times, whatever it is, and then
Yeah.
finally she fixed my bike recently. She was like, "Oh," and she fixed it up for me, and she was like, you know, and then she got excited also like this when I came home. I was like, she's like, "You rode the bike?" I'm like, "Yeah." She's like,
The
"Awesome."
bike.
So I rode
Yes.
the bike, and not only did I ride the bike, I went out there and I was like, "Ooh, I want to come back out." So I rode the bike, came back home, and I was like, "Ooh, itching to go out again." And then it started drizzling. I call it drizzling because where I'm from, the rain's like, I lived in Miami 10 years, and that's like pouring, drenching rain, like island rain. And so here, sometimes when it's rained, I'm like, that's not really rain. That's like a little rain, or that's drizzle or whatever. But today's been a bit like, oh, but I was ready to go out despite this rain, because usually I would be like, but now I'm more accustomed, and I was like, oh, I want to go back out, and I want to go on my bike, and I want to go further than what I went already, you know. Like I want to spend
Yes.
like an hour, 2 hours just on the bike.
Amazing.
That is
Amazing.
amazing.
That is
That's like
amazing. I love
from
that.
from a few
Yes.
seconds to like a few hours.
Yes.
That's huge.
That's incredible.
That is like,
And
yeah,
and so like, you know, how has that been for you, that process of doing, you know, because you've
mm,
done 5 sessions and you've gone from the
yeah,
person who couldn't even barely get out of bed to the
exactly.
person who's now like, oh, I'm just gonna like ride my bike for 2 hours. And
Yes,
it's like, you
you
know,
know.
that is such a massive shift in this within 2 months, like less than
Yeah,
2 months.
exactly. That's what I'm
How
saying.
has that been for you? Like, what has that journey been like?
It's amazing because, um, you know, a little before our call, I was chatting with my partner Martine, and she said, I think she asked a similar question, you know, and I said, yeah, it's like I was in a nightmare. And then she said, yeah, and you were, it was an ongoing nightmare. And I said, exactly. It was like this continual, like, I'm stuck in this nightmare. It keeps replaying every day. And then here I was like, I couldn't see a light at the end of the tunnel. It was that kind of nightmare where you actually don't, you don't see hope. It's just despair. But then I was holding the light. Like I was saying, I'm envisioning a light even though I can't see it. And then I said to her, what's so powerful is I did that and you did that alongside me. And because we held that light, the universe matched that and connected us with someone who um, would give us that, and will show us the way out of that nightmare. And she said, "Yeah, wow, that's amazing." And then, because it was like it's surreal. It's almost like this nightmare that I no longer, you talk about like a dream. Oh, it was just a dream. So in a way, it's like amazing because it's like, wow, it was a nightmare, but it's
Yeah.
over now. And
Yeah.
that's the surreal part, because like how is that this nightmare that felt so real and was real for as long as it was, and it kept getting worse. The nightmare would just get worse and worse, harder and harder, more difficult, more challenging, more painful. And so I mean, it's, that we've had sessions where I just have cried tears of gratitude and joy and gratefulness, because it just um, it's like getting my life back. I didn't have the ability to participate in life in a way that felt, well, I guess in a sense you could say it was something quite saddening and depressing, because here I am, 39 years old, you know, fit, tall, strong, but not even able to, but then not feeling weakened, feeling incapacitated, feeling disabled, and the trajectory wasn't looking good. It was just looking like now I have to deal with life being bedridden. I started to watch YouTube videos where there was like, apparently there's millions of people having these kind of same situation, symptoms, syndrome related ones. And once they have that sort of like that moment where they now can't get out of bed, they tend to stay that, they don't get out of that. And so realizing that that was what I was going through, it was almost like there was that part of me that was saying, okay, now you have to get used to this new life, which feels like not like life. But then that other part of me, my spirit, my heart, whatever it was my soul, was like, no, there's got to be a way to overcome this. So yeah, so
And you
I
have
just feel like
yeah,
yeah, go on.
I was going to say, you have such a strong spirit. That's been one of my experiences in working with you, is just
Thank you.
such a strong, such
Mm.
a bright spirit,
And that's it,
such
isn't it?
a will to heal, incredible
Yeah,
will.
yeah,
Mm,
that's what it was. That
yeah,
that
yeah,
that relentless, like, yeah, yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
And so in terms of, like, in this last 2 months, like,
Mm.
what have been some of the kind of the big breakthrough moments for you? Like,
Oh
what have been
yeah,
some of those, just to, so we can kind
sure,
of get a
yeah,
sense for people, anyone who's
yeah,
listening, what's that been like for you? You've gone from
yeah,
incapacitated to feeling what sounds like really vibrant
exactly.
now. So,
Uh,
and so what's been the stepping stones? How have you
sure. Yeah,
experienced
great
that?
question. Yeah.
Mm.
Definitely. One of them has been. I remember when I had like my first sort of like, um, okay, I'm having these symptoms, these painful symptoms. And then after having a dialogue with my partner, all of a sudden the symptoms are gone. So it was like one moment I'm in this pain, I'm hurting, it's terrible, and then I express myself how I need to, and I share whatever is on my heart, my mind, and we talk. And then minutes later, maybe half an hour, maybe an hour, however it was that first time, it took some time, but I then, once everything got out that I needed getting out, um, it was like almost like magic, like my name, abracadabra, poof, the
You
symptoms
have
are
the right
gone.
name.
Now you
You do
see
have
it
the right name.
exactly, right? Isn't it? Now you see it. Now you know, Houdini. And I'm just like, what just happened? I was like, I remember saying to her, babe, it's gone. It's gone. And she was like, what? I'm like, I'm okay. So just that first
Yeah.
moment, what felt like freedom, felt like,
Mm, mm,
capacity, strength
mm,
again. That was one of those
mm.
major landmarks.
Yeah.
And, once you experience that, like once you've gone through months, years, whatever it is of pain, and then all of a sudden someone teaches you a method and you use the method and it works, then of course you're just like, okay, I need more of that. Like I need to do this. Like I'm not gonna stop doing this. This right here, this is it. So that was like the I feel like that was the landmark that sort of informed the other
Yeah.
landmarks, right? Yeah.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. Yeah, beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful. And
Yeah.
it is, isn't it, that thing of, what, like you say, once you've experienced that you
Yeah.
can actually switch off those symptoms and you know now how to do it, then it's just, and that's where it takes you have so much courage though, because you kept doing it, you kept going back and applying
Mm,
that method again and again, even
right.
when it was really hard, even in
Very
those
hard.
moments. And and it was that courage to keep showing up that has given you back your
Mm,
health. So,
right.
and in terms of going forward, like like it
Mm,
sounds to me like you're on track, you're going where you want to go. And
yeah.
what's your destination, what's the goal, where are you, what's the passion, what's lighting you up
Yeah.
right now that
Oh,
you're
right.
aiming for?
Definitely. And I want to
Yeah.
just actually add just a little something to what we just
Mm.
expressed. The the magic of that again is like, because again, since I was bedridden, so it was like I'm in bed and but I call my partner, let's have this conversation. I feel like I need to share this thing. I share this thing, and then literally I'm able to get up and walk around in the house. Like that so empowering, and that's literally almost like, you could say like almost going from the grave to, being resurrected again or something like
Yes,
this.
it
That
is
was the
literally.
impact of it,
Yes,
isn't it? Yeah.
yes,
So
yes.
immobile to mobile, and then moving my legs, moving my arms, and going, there's
Mm,
no pain in my arms, there's no
mm,
pain in my legs.
mm,
I'm bringing my knees up,
mm,
I'm walking around,
mm.
and then there were other things like the first time I was able to dance with her again. The first time I was able to pick her up, like out of nowhere, I just
Yes.
picked her up.
Yeah,
And
the
just
energy just came through. Yeah,
yes, yes, the
yeah,
desire,
yeah.
but then the energy to do it, and yeah. Um, so now what's lighting me
So
up? Excellent question. Oh, I'm sorry. Was there something?
no, I was just going to
Mhm.
say, I love those. I'd love to, if there are more of those little juicy moments that you want to drop in there, because they're
Oh,
so beautiful. They're
okay,
so
brilliant.
beautiful. Because I
Yeah.
remember with my own healing that I had those key
Mm,
points that were like
yes.
really significant moments of
Yeah.
opening and breakthrough, and
Yeah.
I that you never forget.
You
Like,
never,
and
exactly.
it's
You
so
never do.
lovely. It's just
It
so
is.
lovely hearing how that
Oh,
has been for you. Yeah.
yeah. And then also now that you said that, it's like kind of recently, I don't know, it might have been a few weeks ago, where it was kind of like my partner said, "Oh, um, I realize now that I get to just you." She said, "You've been doing this thing where you're asking me to take you out. Like you'll be like, oh, let's go to the river. Oh, let's go to this place. Oh, let's go to that place." So, which is that is such a huge, massive deal because it used to be where she would ask me, you know, do you feel like you can do this? Do you feel like you could do that? And
Mm,
there would be little things like, do
mm,
you feel like you can get up and take the trash out? Do you feel like you can go to the bathroom and do whatever it is, clean
mm,
up this or do,
mm,
like I couldn't do those things.
mm,
And she was hoping with certain things that she was giving me, like, alternative meds and things like this, herbs and
mm,
whatever drinks, foods, that would start to make a difference in my health. And when they didn't, it was very hard for both of us to see that. And
mm,
this was obviously before we connected with you.
mm,
But yeah, so once she to be able to do that, like to wake up and with no symptoms and then say, "Ooh, let's go to the river together." And then go to the river and then climb a tree and then jump in the river and then laugh and splash and just be out there for hours and come back beaming and happy and connected and energized. Yeah, because that was like, I had to do that in my mind. Like for so long I was
yeah.
just laying
Yeah.
down. That's the only
Completely.
place I could. Yeah. So to go to
Yeah.
physical places, to
Yeah.
go climb
Yeah.
climb higher and higher in trees, to like do press ups again and jumping jacks, jump rope, get on a bike, you know eh, Yes.
it's so wonderful to hear all these things that you're doing with, and you have
Mm,
so much energy and so much vitality, you
mm,
know. And when I
uh,
think of like how long you were not well, you know, I mean, how long was that you were?
right. So, right, because we did the maths. It was like it was February 15th of
Mm,
this year when
mm,
so we had done a gig the day before. Imagine Valentine's Day was the last time
mm,
her and I had like had a wonderful time together. And then the next day, after this amazing gig that I had with her, where we're performing, singing, doing things, playing guitar, whatever, and connecting with the folks that came, it was beautiful. It felt like a spiritual sort of experience, almost like a what do they call? Almost like how the Native American traditions of coming in a circle and sharing with each other. It was like that. We got in a circle and we were singing the music, but we weren't just performing. Everyone was singing along with us, and we would share things and talk about different things. And we became like this family moment. It was lovely. But then the next day, the symptoms hit. The syndrome hit so hard, I didn't get out of bed from February 15th on until I started talking with you in April.
mm, mm,
So now, before that, though, when I was still in New York, there were experiences I was having that I didn't realize were leading to that, where I would have like maybe, an hour in bed or several hours in
mm,
bed or a day or a few days.
mm,
And I didn't know
mm,
that this thing was kicking off. It just got worse when I got here instead of better. Um, so if we say February, so March, April, so there was, oh my gosh, so 2 solid months
mm,
of the symptoms.
mm,
Wow. And then with 2 months, less than 2 months of sessions, here I
mm,
am, like, the opposite. It has turned around.
mm.
Hearing myself say that, just I'm just in awe. I just can't believe it. I'm living it and I can't, it's surreal to me, you know. Like I don't even
Yeah,
remember. I remember that it happened, but I don't remember, you know what I mean? That sense is like because I'm not living that anymore. It's almost like I'm not feeling the pain of that. I'm
mm,
not feeling the what was so horrible about that and terrible about that.
mm,
It's like, but I'll never forget. I'll never forget
mm.
what that actual experience. Like you don't, like you said, you just can't forget that. So yeah, I hope I answered that question.
Yeah, no, it's so wonderful. And you will never go back to that because you've got all these
That's it.
tools now that you've
That's
learned
it.
how to master your physical health. You know, it's
Yeah,
incredible.
that's
And
what's
so, what's the joyful horizon for you,
yes,
Houdini? Because I
yes,
know that you have lots of plans and dreams
yeah, yeah.
and
So
yeah, and all this energy that you have now, you can
yeah,
really live those.
that's right. So it's like, yeah, it's like it just feels massive for me because it's like I have now contacts, colleagues that are um, reaching out to me about doing like major projects with these systems that I've been studying for several years and starting to have um, give readings to people using these systems of astrology and numerology and
Mm,
such. And just to be able, like I told you in our last session, to be able to like book people, like to put people on a calendar again and know that, oh, I'll be able to show up physically, not to go that day and go, we'll see what happens that day. I might have the symptoms and I can't read you, or I can't do whatever we talked about doing, have a phone call or whatever.
mm,
um that's massive. Like even getting on this call again, it doesn't get old. Just that and I don't know that it will, because it was such a terrible place I was in, that I feel like every day I'm more and more appreciative of now this mastery of the symptoms and of my life and these tools. Like, so I feel like every day is just more of a celebration, more of appreciation, more of, you know, taking advantage of this new energy and this vibrancy and this freedom. So yeah, so
wonderful.
these projects like around matchmaking, now I have someone
Mm.
who's interested in me being a matchmaker for her entire online community of 500 plus people. I'm really excited about that. Yeah, that's like amazing. It's like a dream for me,
Yeah.
right? And what else? It's like, so, oh, and then yesterday I spoke with this lovely therapist who is also someone who practices human design, and she wants me to be the astrology, numerology, and human design consultant on her team of other healers
Amazing.
and practitioners that
Amazing.
she's going to do some webinars for. So she's transitioning from doing, obviously before CV-19 hit,
Yeah.
she was doing one-on-ones with her
Yeah.
clients.
Fantastic.
Yeah, so now she's doing
Yeah.
mass
Yeah.
webinars. She's going to
Yeah.
prepare to do. She wants me to be on that team. So these kind of things really light me up. I'm really excited
Amazing.
about the
Amazing.
online. Yeah,
Yeah. And you've, and there you are, like you say, you can rely on your energy now. You can actually take these projects on, you can show up, you
yeah,
can do this. And,
yeah.
and you have so much energy now
Mm,
pouring. Like, I love that about each of the sessions we did. It was just like
yeah.
watching this kind of sunbeam kind of like erupting out of you. And it's
Oh,
been really beautiful, beautiful to witness your
thank you.
incredible healing. I mean, and
Mhm.
absolutely full admiration for you and all the hard work that you put
Mm,
in, because you really did,
thank you.
really went for it. And
Thank
yeah,
you.
just really so delighted to see where you
Mm,
are now. But yeah,
yeah.
wow.
It's
And
interesting
yeah,
because, I recently went out with Martina and we did a run. I think we had the one bike because she hadn't fixed my bike yet. So we had her bike, and one of us was, I think I was running and she was on her bike. And I just got that energy like you're saying I've been getting, and this impulse and urge, and I just started running. We're running in between hedgerows, through the countryside. I'm running, and I don't stop, and I keep running, and I'm going faster, and I'm going faster, and I'm going faster. And she's yelling from her bike, how is it that a man can run faster than a bike? Like, she's like, you're running faster than I can keep up with you. And then, and I did that like 3 times that day, right, with her, right? And then when we came back home, she said, do you know how fast you are? I was like, I felt that. She's like, you are so fast. That she said, I swear, I want to time you. So the next thing is, we're going to
yeah.
time me,
Oh
because
my
she said
God, I love
literally,
it.
I don't, yes, she said, I don't know if Usain Bolt is faster than you. And I was like, you're exaggerating. She's like, no, like, we're gonna time you. And I said, actually, when I was in military training, they did call me, like the drill sergeants, they would call me, what was it? They were, because we would do runs and whatever. And my main drill sergeant said, you're like Captain America and Superman in one. So this was years before, this sentiment. And I was like, wow, I didn't know what he meant. But when she said that, I said, oh, I think that's what he meant.
This is it.
So,
Yeah.
so yeah, it's just
Yeah.
like, I feel like this
Amazing.
wild
Amazing.
human now. I'm free to be
Yeah.
that. I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, I get to run.
Yeah.
Oh, I get to
Yeah.
climb.
Yeah.
I get it
Yeah.
out. It's
Yeah.
amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Really amazing.
Woohoo! I
And
love it.
in
I
laughter
love it.
yoga, we go, very good, very good, yay! And we've been saying that for the last 3 days, every day. We were like, yay! It's amazing.
So
It's
amazing. It's
amazing.
so
Yeah,
amazing. You are
yeah.
such an incredible being. And
Oh,
I'm
thank
just
goodness.
so happy to see the light of your being just shining through you again. And
Mm,
what a blessing for this world, really. So
mm.
yeah, and thank you for the inspiring story, because
Yes.
there's so many people out there
Yeah.
who are still in that symptom state that you were struggling with,
Right.
and who,
Exactly.
like you say, like where you were like, oh my God, it's like a nightmare, and is there a way out?
Yeah.
And so
Yeah.
it's so beautiful for those people to hear you say, actually
Mm.
there is a way out.
Yeah.
And you've had that experience, I've had that experience,
Yes.
and
Exactly.
we're living examples of what can happen. And so,
Absolutely.
thank you for your willingness
Mm.
to share your story
Yeah. You're
and help
welcome.
those people, in that
Yeah.
way. So really appreciate that. Thank you
Mm.
so much.
You. Absolutely.
Yeah,
Yes. Yes.
yeah. And many, many blessings on your onward journey of ever
Thank
more
you.
amazing life.
Yes, thank you. It means the
Loads
world.
and
It's a
yeah,
lovely,
loads of
lovely.
love.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes. It
Thank you,
looks like it's
Houdini.
lovely in the horizon now. It's a bright
Oh
future
yes,
now, isn't it?
it's a bright future. Oh
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
great.
All
Thank you
right.
so much.
You're
Loads of love.
welcome. Likewise. Much love.
Bye.